When we think about conservation management, particularly in the Central Valley of California, we really have to imagine what this valley would have looked like 200 or 300 years ago. This is a floodplain. We would have had all this meltwater from the snow coming down, flooding out over this whole floodplain, contracting, expanding, contracting as you get warm and cold spells.
The Central Valley floodplain had deep rivers and channels, shallow mudflats and sandbars and everything in between.
So you get this habitat complexity that's so important to so many species. We can't recreate that. That's gone. So what do you do about that? How do we try to recreate, if not exactly those habitats, their ecological functions?
The presence of water is really important for so many species that would have historically relied on wetlands, but now wetlands are in short supply. So it's that presence of water that's one of the key values of rice as a habitat.
That's what makes rice so incredibly unique. Rice has this opportunity to both conserve an exceptional concentration of wildlife, unlike any other kind of crop production. And that's because rice acts as a surrogate wetland.
How do we stitch together all of these different species needs, different times of year, different management practices, and actually come up with an acreage?
One way of figuring out what a minimum kind of muddy footprint might be would look at sort of the minimum number of acreage needed to support, the species that needs the rice the most.
When we compiled the report and considered all the types of wildlife that depend on rice as habitat, we found that 470,000 acres of rice are needed to support these various species.
So what does each species need? Fishes need at least 30,000 acres of flooded winter rice. Sandhill Cranes need 56,000 acres. Giant Gartersnakes, 80,000 acres. Shorebirds need 373,000 acres. And black terns need 472,000 acres. And waterfowl need about 500,000 acres.
One common thread we saw was that having rice relatively close to existing wetlands can benefit from each other. And that's because some species need both to complete their life histories.
You're not going to do everything for everybody at the same place in the same time. But maybe we can get pieces of what's good for one species here, what's good for another species there, that doesn't create a blanket cost to the grower, but also doesn't create a desert for some species and an oasis for others.
Historically, there was a huge variety of depths in the Central Valley floodplain, and we're trying to mimic those in a managed system. That means we need shallow depths for shorebirds, we need medium depths for cranes and waterfowl, and we need deeper depths for fish and garter snakes.
You can't just have 470,000 acres of 6 inches water and you're good to go and you walk home. It's not going to work for shorebirds. It's not going to work for fish.
If we don't have one cookie cutter solution that every rice farmer can follow, then how do we sort of move forward? We have to sort of allow and promote with some of our policies, recognizing that some places might be a little bit more managed for one species and another area might be a little bit more managed for other species. One of the challenges that comes up when analyzing or thinking about rice is what are we going to do in the face of such water scarcity?
How do you deal with these capricious, unpredictable environmental events that may happen with increasing frequency, more demands on water overall?
And so with these changes, we really need to document the importance of rice to keep rice as a vibrant industry in California looking forward and support all of these creatures into the future.
I shudder to think of what our waterfowl populations and our shorebird populations, all the species that we consider, would be in a world of hurt without that rice resource, the food resources, the refuge, the roosting sites.
We have a thriving rice economy, then we also have these ecosystem benefits that come with it. And sometimes they're in conflict, it seems. But the reality is that agriculture directly benefits the ecosystem in the Central Valley.
So if we lose rice, there's no way we can make up for it. There's no way we're going to replenish the 4 million acres of wetlands that we used to have here.
You have all of these different groups of people that can all align behind this system that can simultaneously produce food and conserve wildlife in the same place. And that's why I think rice is really unique and a model that could be used potentially for other cropping systems globally.
The ethos of the rice community is really wildlife and farming focused. And I think that makes it really unique. I think it gives me hope that we can have a future that incorporates our agricultural economies and our ecosystem function and all the benefits that come with both of them. And it's really that overlap that gives me hope that we have a bright future.